Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, first let me introduce myself. I'm Lailatul Rahmaniyah, a student of English Education FKIP Unri batch 2019. And I'm gonna present my proposal. The title is The Correlation Between the Using of Flashcard and Improving Students' Vocabulary. We come to the first one, the background of the study. Well, English is a foreign language taught in schools at all levels, from elementary to college. English is a global language that is used to connect with people all over the world. Students must understand that while communicating with people from other countries, they must utilize English. The vocabulary is a tool for understanding and mastering English. Vocabulary was a key component in improving all aspects of English. And in fact, the instructor plays a significant role in reducing the aforementioned issues. The shift of the teaching and learning process from teacher-centered to student-centered learning is hoped to encourage students to participate actively in development of their own knowledge, behavior, and attitude. Vocabulary was a key component, right? And indeed, understanding language was a challenging task. It was not as simple back then and it required a process. There are numerous elements that make it difficult for kids to master vocabulary. Vocabulary, according to Hatch and Brown, is a list or set of terms of certain language or a list or collection of words that individual speakers of language might use. It implies that vocabulary is the most fundamental part of the language that must be understood prior to mastering English skill. One of the goals of using flashcards to teach English is to improve people's vocabulary. Students study a word by looking at the content of a card, and then the research challenge is how does flashcard enhance vocabulary based on the problem given above. Next, the formulations of the problem. The problems of the research are formulated as follows. First one, how is students improving vocabularies of the third-year students of English study program? And then, how is the flashcard achievement of the third-year students of English study program? And is there any significant correlation between students improving vocabularies of the third-year students of English study program using flashcard? That's all the formulation of the problem, the reason why I conduct this research. Next is hypothesis. There are two kinds of hypotheses involved in this research. The first one, alternative hypothesis. There is a relation between students improving vocabularies of the third-year students of English study program and using flashcard. This is the HA. And then there's null hypothesis. It mentioned that there is no relation between students improving vocabularies of the third-year students of English study program using flashcard. And then next, there is the needs for the research. The result of this study are expected to be used by teachers, students, readers, and the writers as in the following purpose. For the researchers, hopefully, this research can help the researchers how to know more about the correlation between students improving vocabularies of the third-year students' English study program using flashcard, and the researchers can use the information based on this research as a teacher after graduating. And then for lecturers and teachers, to inform them about correlation between students improving vocabularies of the third year students of English study program and using flashcards that should be solved by the teacher in order to make them interested in learning. And last one, for readers and other research, it can inform them about the correlation between students improving vocabularies of the third year students of English study program and using flashcard. The result of this research also can be used as reference by other researchers about student improving vocabularies of the third year and using flashcard. And then there is definition of the terms. Correlation Hornby 2000 as it states, correlation is a mutual relationship of connection between two more or things or variables. In this research, the correlation means the correlation between students improving vocabularies of this third year students of English study program and the using of flashcard itself. Next, there is vocabularies. Wait a minute, please. Okay, continue. Vocabularies. Hatch and Browns state that vocabulary is a list of words for a particular language or a list or set of words that individual speaker or language might use. Vocabulary itself is the collection of words that individual knows learns. That was violence. And then the last one, flashcard itself, according to Cross, a flashcard is a basic image on a piece of card or paper that is commonly employed as an educational tool. Next, there is review of related literature. First, Habibi 2017 published a study called The Use of Flashcards in Improving Vocabulary Mastery of Students with Disabilities. It was an action research in an integrated classroom utilizing flashcards to increase the vocabulary of disabled students in the second grade of SMP di Ponegoro Junrejo, Batu in the academic year 2017 and 18. The cycle consists of 4 meetings plus a post-test meeting. The researcher taught descriptive text to the students with disabilities at the first meeting, and the strategy was to use flashcards to illustrate and explain the information, and then have them write at least one line based on the visual they saw. The second meeting was dedicated to teamwork. And then there is Rahmasari 2016 did a study named The Use of Flashcard in Teaching Vocabulary to SDN Sukosari 4th grade students, Madiun Dagangan. The purpose of this study was to see whether the researcher could find out whether to determine whether or not the usage of flashcard was effective, as well as the advantages or disadvantages of utilizing them. The use of flashcards to teach English vocabulary. The data was gathered by the observation and testing were employed by the research. The research helped to learn more about the subject through observation to have a direct understanding of the context and condition affecting the efficiency of flashcards in teaching fourth grade vocabulary for elementary school pupils. And then the last one, Nugroho 2012, conduct another study titled Improving Student Vocabulary Master Using Flashcard. In the academic 2011 and 12, the subject research was SD Negeri 2 Watu Agung Batu Rejo. We continue. It was a participatory action research project. The study took 4 months to complete according to the quantitative data of pre-test and post-test. Flashcards can help pupils enhance their vocabulary masters. The research demonstrates that flashcards can be a good medium for teaching English vocabulary since they assist students improve their comprehension of English vocabularies. Next. is research methodology, the location and time of the research. The research will be conducted at English study program of Universitas Riau that is located at Binawidia Street from January 2022. And then the research design. In this research, there are two kinds of variables, independent variable and dependent variable. This research determines the relationship between students improving vocabularies of the third year students of English study program and using flashcard. The research instrument used is a questionnaire containing questions to test students' vocabulary skills. The test is carried out 2 times, pre-test and post-test. And then there is the population and sample of the research. The population of this research is the students of the third year from English Department of Universitas Riau, because they had passed already many subject course after 3 years, and they've been taught vocabulary for 3 years. And then the sample, the research will take 20 students of the population as the sample in this study, but it can be changed maybe after some revisions. Next, research methodology. It also the part of research methodology, right? And there is data and instrument of the research. In the study, to measure the level of vocabulary ability of students, tests in the form of TOEFL problems with multi-level difficulties were applied. The research using TOEFL rating, not rating its vocabulary achievement to measure students' achievement in vocabulary. The researcher will share TOEFL tests. The research adopted 40 questions from Deborah Phillips' book entitled Longman Complete Course of the TOEFL Test, Preparation for the Computer and Paper Test. And then there is method of data collection. The data will be collected using an online questionnaire, will be conducted in January 20 and 22. The data will be collected using an online questionnaire for the correlation between the using of flashcard and improving student vocabulary tests to measure their vocabulary skill achievement. Online questionnaire for the correlation between the using of flashcard and improving students' vocabulary will be made in a form of Google Form. Then the researcher will be distribute the link of the questionnaire to all participant students to get students' response via social media WhatsApp. The test consists of 40 multiple choice questions. Each question, if correctly answered, is worth 1, and if wrong answer is worth 0. The value was categorized into 5 categories that were adapted based on Arikunto 2006. The researcher used these following categories to classify students' vocabulary skill. If they got score 81 to 100, it means very good. 61 to 80, good. 41 to 60, it means fair. 21 to 40, it means bad. And the last one, 0 to 20%, it means very bad. The vocabulary test to measure at what level their vocabulary is capable of. The pretest aims to measure students' vocabulary skills before being given teaching using medium flashcards. 2 days after pretest, students are taught using a medium flashcard. Then reheld tests, post-test to measure the effectiveness of flashcard. Then the two scores were compared to analyze the hypothesis. The data analysis technique. Firstly, the data from questionnaire will be analyzed to determine the student's vocabulary skills before and after being given teaching using medium flashcards. And then the research will assess the students' pre-test and post-test. The data of vocabulary are analyzed to determine the score of students. The students' answers are calculated by the formula n number of correct items per number of total items, and then it multiply 100. For example, uh, a student's correct answer is 36. It means 36 per 40 and then multiply to 100. He get the score 90. To analyze the normality, homogeneity, and correlation tests of pre-test scores and post-test, the statistical package for social and science, or we call it SPSS, computer program, will be employed to determine the criteria of correlation by applying the interpretation of number correlation as suggested by Sugiono 2017, interpretation of number correlation product moment, the sufficient correlation point 0 sorry 0.70 till 0.90 will it means sufficient correlation. 0.40 to 0.70 it means fair correlation, and high correlation at the range 0.90 to 1. Okay, that's all my presentation. If you have any question, please unmute and raise your hand. Okay, Elfiana, go on.
Okay, thank you, Laila. I wanna ask you about why choose this method in your research. Thank you.
Yes. Support why I choose this method in my research. Support the study of social whose scope is macro because it can involve research subjects in large quantities. The sheer number of subjects, either individuals or group, involved supports the generalization process and have the capital to achieve the objectivity of research results. In general, quantitative research is designed to produce general explanation of a phenomenon. To get this general explanation, several variables are used or tested, and this quantitative method, able to apply the average number of calculations so that the research design can be replicated and analyze its relevance elsewhere. And then it also able to conduct comparative studies objectively, and then the potentially personal bias can be avoided by the way research keep their distance from the participants studied and by using computer software when journaling. Okay, next question. Okay, please, Dewi.
Okay, my question is what instrument will you use and why choose them?
Yes. You already mentioned the question. Can you repeat it?
Okay, my question is what instrument will you use and why choose them?
Okay, that's nice question. The instruments I use is tests, which are grouped into pre-test and post-test. The reason why I choose this instrument was because of its effectiveness to show the result of the initial test or pre-test and the final test or post-test. Is there a decline or vice versa, so as to draw conclusions whether the medium flashcard, that is my topic, is effective or not. Yes, that was already two questions. I answered. That was very nice question.
Okay, thank you, Laila. I'm conducted as a Ratulan here. Okay, I'm gonna mention the conclusion based on your presentation. That is the implementation of visual media flashcard in teaching and learning vocabulary has a positive impact for students in learning desire to learn the vocabulary. The ease of remembering vocabulary is in interpreting the message of a word and to focus the attention of students. Also to gain their scores in vocabulary test.
Yes,
That's
that
the
was
conclusion.
the whole that whole my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Wabarakatuh.